I didn't even have the guts to tell my family this is what happened. So I just went, my eyes red. I was asked, what's the matter? I said, I'm not feeling well. I just want to rest. So when it came to the morning, my alarm rang. For the first time, I did not obey it. I have been obeying it for the last 3 months and see where it landed me. Yeah. So my husband thought of helping the alarm and he came to wake me up. And I just answered him with a simple line. And I was like, welcome back again to Evolve You for You channel. Yeah. Today we are looking at the issue. Yeah. Have you ever been fired? What happened? What were the issues? Who was on the wrong? Did you give it your best? A lot of things normally go through our mind whenever we are let go. Today I'll share my personal experience of when I was let go. It was after the post-election and things were not good. I had closed my tailoring business for some time. And just the fact that everything was not merry, it was a very nice opportunity just for me to bring things to a pause. So what I did is I packed everything, all the machines, took them to up country. Finally, I was not a tailor. It's a profession that I didn't like. The reason being, we had this teacher in high school who will tell us, work hard so that you don't become a tailor. So by the time some circumstances landed me there, I did it, but at the back of my mind, I always thought, no, according to my teacher, according to what is in my mind, I should not be a tailor. Anyway, I looked for this job and I got it. It was in an insurance company. Oh, I gave this job my best, according to me. It might not have been the same according to them, but according to me, I gave it my 101. I remember I would leave my house at the wee hours of the morning. By around 4:30, I would be at the stage, pick a bus. At that particular moment, it was cheaper if you go earlier. So I will pick a bus. I will get to town when it's still dark. I will join the morning glory sessions because I had nowhere to go at that particular moment. Most of the time, I'll find when the ushers are still cleaning the seats, I will help them clean. Then later we'll have the morning glory. The morning glory will still end before the time for opening at my workplace starts. So I will go and just sit at the stairs or sit at the gate waiting for them to open. When it used to get to lunchtime, I didn't have the money to get the lunch. And where we were, people were, let me say, they were high end. So most of them were Asians. So their drivers will bring for them food, fancy foods. And instead of just sitting there and staring at them, I will take a walk to the nearby supermarket, just go walk around and maybe drink some water which was available at the company's dispenser. Then I will come and sit. At least in such a case, nobody knew whether I had my lunch or not. Just sitting there and staring at them as they ate. Sometimes somebody out of just pity will say, would you like to join us? No, that was not the way to go. I tried in whatever I was doing. My task was basically just entering claims from people in the system. And oh my, even a single mistake like a comma or a full stop would lead to a lot of noise from my supervisor. I don't know, maybe I wasn't good enough, but I was giving it my best. In all this, my boss, as per that time, we never even had a conversation. The only time I would view him was through his office, which had a mirror, which actually one day when I grow up, I'll have an office with a mirror, yeah, a full mirror. But the only time I will hear him, or let me say see him talk, is when we'll call one of the supervisor because of the mistake we had made, and we just see the hands being thrown all over, and that was it. In all that time I was there, I didn't even get an opportunity to say hi to him. Maybe I still had to grow up before I have the opportunity of meeting him. But anyway, that was my lifestyle. And then in the evening, I would leave just on time because the traffic will take long before I get home. So I will just go, and by the time I will reach home, my children were asleep. So basically, for all that period, like throughout the week, I will not see my children. I will leave the house when they are asleep. I will come back in the evening when they are asleep. And the only time I had even an opportunity to be with them was during the weekend, which was so tiring because I had other things to do as well. And that marked my routine for all the 3 months that I was there. And everything was okay. Everything was flowing well. I knew everything was okay. At least I thought everything was okay. Towards the end of the 3 months, it was the time for the Christmas party. I had not witnessed any, especially in this company or in any company. But according to the things I was hearing in the office, people had dress code, and where they were going to one fancy hotel. So in my dreamland, I thought, okay, this is the way. So somehow at the back of my mind, I knew what I could wear. Yeah. And the arrangements were being made and people were making. The people were so thrilled about it. And so I was. So following some days, the lady who introduced me to this company was fired. It came as a shock. We thought like she could not be fired. Among all the people in the company, she could not be fired. But for some reason, she was fired. But it didn't scare me. I knew I was there for the long term, yeah? But some days later, after I had done everything for that day, even packed, ready to go home, I was called and I was told, Deborah, we need to see you in the office. And I was like, okay, whatever, I'm coming. In my innocence, yeah? So I went and the message was dropped on me. And they were like, Deborah, your services are no longer required. What? Let me just tell you, after that, they said a lot of English. I can't remember anything. The only thing that I could remember is your services are no longer required. How did this happen? How did I get here? I was here on time. I gave it my best. I was faithful. I prayed. I went to morning glory every day. How could this happen? I went, I picked my things. I ensured I had the right transport fee on my hand. As I got into that bus, I had my fare held on my hand. I didn't even want any discussion with the conductor. I just gave out my fee and continued covered my head. I was all tears. I went back home. I didn't even have the guts to tell my family this is what happened. So I just went, my eyes red. I was asked, what's the matter? I said, I'm not feeling well. I just want to rest. So when it came to the morning, my alarm rang. For the first time, I did not obey it. I had been obeying it for the last 3 months. and see where it landed me. Yeah. So my husband thought of helping the alarm and he came to wake me up. And I just answered him with a simple line, and I was like, I was fired. And I covered my head once again. Even me saying the words I was fired was scary to me, but that was the truth. I was out of job, and here I was. I had taken all my machines back to up country. I had said that I am no longer a tailor, but now I am fired. How do I handle this? What do I do? Where do I turn after such an incident? Friends, if there's any of you who have been fired before, share it in the comments below and we see what did you do after that news came to you. Did you hide it to your family for some time? I've heard of men who, long after being fired, they just leave the house every day, follow the same routine, go and roam around in town and come in the evening like they are from work, because they can't face their families and tell their families, you know what? Days later, as I was recovering from this shock, I paused and I thought of a few things that maybe I could learn from all this scenario. Yeah. Number one, I thought of how important it is to be resilient and to take responsibility. Of course, my side of the story is what I had told you. I had said, like, I had given it my best. To me, getting to work on time was the best. Maybe leaving on time was the best. That was what I think I did best. But I'm sure maybe if you get my supervisor will tell you a very different story. So I think once somebody has been fired, one of the first things somebody should do is literally take responsibility. Did you give it your best? Was there something else you could have done? This one will help you so that you don't mess up the next opportunity, or maybe you don't repeat the very same errors. Yeah. Instead of us blaming our former company and saying like people are bad, sometimes it's good to have a meeting with yourself and ask yourself sincerely, what did I do right and what did I do wrong? Number two, what I think that people should do and should really help you heal. On that night, I didn't tell my family what happened. I held it to my heart. It was eating me up. Actually, when I didn't sleep, I was worried. Only for those few hours, it was eating me up. What about these people who go for days, weeks, even months without revealing to their families that they were fired? In this case, you are suffering alone. Let it out there so that people can help you, can guide you. You never know, even some of the people or the relatives you know, they can literally help you back on your feet and maybe even help you get another job. Number three thing that I think we should do after being let go, I think we should just move forward. Yes, you should just move forward. Sometimes it look easier like to fight, to argue, to plead, to try and have a meeting. I don't know how good that one can do. If you've ever done that and it has worked for you, let me know in the comments below. But according to me, I think you should just move on. Yeah, we should learn that there are times and seasons, and everything that has a beginning must have an end. So in case you are fired, the best way is just to let it go and just avoid the unnecessary dramas that might come in. So sometimes we have legal battles. That one is a very different case, but it's good to move on instead of holding on to something that might not even be there anymore. Yeah. The fourth thing that I think that should happen is to, although it's related to the number 1, but it can still be our number 4, we should accept responsibility. If you didn't give it your best, don't blame your boss. You did not give it your best. Accept responsibility. It will help you heal, and it will avoid these unnecessary emotional grudges that we end up holding. 10 years later, you are still talking about the company that fired you. If it ain't working, it ain't working. Just let it be. Yeah. And then the 5th one might also be a repetition of what we had said before, but it's good just to pause and have a self-reflection. Ask yourself, how did I get here? How can I try so that I don't get into similar situations in future? Just have a self-reflection, because if you don't have a self-reflection after such an incident or any other incident, it will hinder your chances of evolving to a positive you. Remember, we are here to evolve. We are evolving even after being fired. How can you thrive back? In my other videos, I'll share how some years later I'll be making a very big purchase next to this same company that fired me. But it's because I moved on and I accepted responsibility, and I had a self-reflection of myself, and I found out like maybe this was not the way to go. And now for the Christians, yeah, we have a verse that even me, sometimes I normally struggle with it, especially when things are just normally I don't understand. Yeah. Romans 8:28, it says that all things work together for the good of those who love the Lord and those who are called according to his purposes. People normally have a habit of saying the first part, all things work together for the good, then they keep quiet. It doesn't make much sense when we only stop there. For those people who love the Lord, for the people who love the Lord, we will show excellence at work. We will not steal from the company. We will not be rude to our supervisor. We will not be the people who spread rumors and who are bringing the company down. Yeah. So once you are sure that you did your due diligence as a citizen, as a good staff, or even as a person who loved the Lord, be sure all things are working for the good. But in case you are not observing these things or whatever we are told to do, I don't think if that verse works for you for the good. Sometimes we don't understand. You look at things and you tell God, no, God, this one, there's no way it can work together for the good. But trust me, I've been there, I've done that. Almost 20 years later, I'm so grateful they fired me. I'm so grateful they fired me, and they fired me then. So at this particular moment, you might not understand why are these things happening. But sometimes all you need is time, and all you need is to hold on. And in God's due time, you look back and say, indeed, he is faithful. So friends, once again, thank you very much for joining us. It was nice having you on board. I hope we've learned a thing or two, whether you are the one who is going through the firing thing, or you have a relative who is struggling with it as we are watching this. Forward the message to her and tell the person it's gonna be okay. It is all okay. Till next time, from Evolve You channel, thank you very much once more for joining us.